Learning how to tell good stories is not just about building a connection with people on a deeper level, but it is also about establishing trust and that familiarity with people. Ultimately, it helps you to build relationships with people, not just family and friends, but also in business. And today I'm speaking to Hasani, also known as X, and he is an expert storyteller. And I know you guys are going to be in for a treat because I've already spoken to him and it's just amazing the stories that he's telling. It is so fun to listen to him. And he didn't always start by being an expert storyteller. He started on the streets of Oakland, California, to becoming the first generation college graduate, earning an Ivy League degree from the University of Pennsylvania. Now, his company, Lead Your Story, is a company that uses the power of story to build strong brands and company culture. He's also a father of three and a husband. I can't wait for you guys to tune in on this episode. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification for more videos like this in future. And if you know somebody can benefit out of the storytelling empowerment, please do me a favor and share this video with them. That way, the algorithms also love me a little bit more and my channel can grow. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the inside of this video. Hi, Hasani. How are you doing?
I am wonderful, Joy. And just for a little housekeeping, my name is Hasani X, last name X, and everyone calls me X. So if you come across me online, typically it's X.
Can you tell people a little bit about you? Where did you grow up? What's your background like?
Yeah. I'm from Oakland, California. I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but grew up in the late 70s, early 80s. Pretty tough place, rough place. Most of us, we had a pretty tough time of it. But I found my way out. I was able to do a few right things through the grace of God and make a few right decisions. And I found myself in college, first person in my family to go. I get an Ivy League degree. I graduate and I start my first business right out of college. And we're crushing it, building businesses, consulting on how to grow, guerrilla marketing. The name of the company is 4E Consulting. Nice. Couldn't ask for a better life at that point. But Joy, you know how it goes. Everything is good until it's not, right? Yeah. I get a call one day, my mom screaming on the other end, saying, "Hey, Hasani." I was like, "What?" She's like, "They killed him. They killed him." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Your brother, he's dead. He got shot." And that floored me in my little perfect world. Because the last conversation, Joy, I had with my brother was an argument. He was telling me how I wasn't the big brother he needed, how I wasn't there and I didn't support him. And I was like, BS. We grew up in the same place, had the same opportunities, right? You decided to do those things and that's on you, not me. And that's when my life pivoted, because after doing his eulogy, it kind of hit me and things started to come into full circle for me. And I don't know, in your life, you ever had that moment where you truly start to see the patterns?
Yes.
Right. You thought it was this, but here it is, clear as day. You can choose to ignore it, or you can choose to really listen and pay attention. And what it showed me was X was willing to do whatever it took to personally succeed, but I was so fearful of leading anyone. Whether it's my brother or being captain of the football team or doing whatever, I always punted on leadership. And I had to ask myself, why? Why did I do that? And it came down to not believing in myself or being worthy of leading others. So at that point, I decided to tackle all of my fears. I went head in on everything, Joy. I was scared of heights. So what did I do? I went and jumped out of airplanes. One time in Hawaii, I jumped out of airplanes 10 times in a row in a single day. I was like, I'm going to overcome the fear of heights. I was scared of physical confrontation. What did I do? I became a professional fighter in 2004, jumped into a cage, crazy story there, and got over my fear of physical confrontation. Like anything that scared me, I worked on. I was addicted to sugar and other food and crap. All right, let me figure out how to fast on water for 2 weeks and push myself to the limits. Meditation, and started biohacking and improving my life, diving into personal development and working with some of the world's best minds and scholars on how to become the best version of yourself. Fast forward just a few short years, I was consulting businesses, but people started asking me about personal stuff. Like, how did you lose that weight? How did you become so in shape? you seem to be so happy with your marriage, and you're such a good father, and you seem to be just spiritually grounded, and you make money. Like, how do you do it? Mm. And that's when I started to build people instead of building businesses. Mm. And that made me a coach. And then fast forward a few years, I'm working with publicly traded companies on helping them develop their leaders and performance. This ghetto boy from Oakland, California, Joy, is now in front of publicly traded companies, working with people 10, 20 years my seniors, saying, this is how you lead. So and I would have never thought that to be a possibility for me. Yeah.
That is so, so powerful. Now, between you and your brother, then obviously you guys had, and so sorry about the loss of your brother. It's, that's never fun for anybody to go through. But when that happened, how did you, like before that happened and you guys went your separate ways, what was that defining moment to say, I'm not going to live in the ghetto, I'm not going to have this life? What was that defining moment?
I tell people there was nothing special about me. Yeah. People always, when I was growing up, say, hey, Hasani's special. He has something that everyone else doesn't have. And I never believed that. And it wasn't until I was able to kind of distance myself from everything and really reflect that there was one characteristic that I think I had, I didn't earn, but I had, and I've taught hundreds of others to really think this way. It was about being able to shift an experience, no matter how traumatic, into something empowering. And I'll share a quick story for you. My earliest memory of this, when I was 5. I was 5. I saw The Incredible Hulk for the first time. I don't know if you remember the old Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. He scared the crap out of me. This big green, he scared the crap out of me. I had nightmares. And the next night I didn't want to go to sleep. And I told my mom, I'm scared. She's like, no, boy, get in the bed. You go to sleep right now. So I'm in the bed freaking out, Joy. And I'm like, he's going to get me. I feel something behind me. I'm scared to death. I pull the cover over my head and I tell myself, if he can't see me, he can't get me. If he can't see me, he can't get me. And I just stayed still. And I repeated that over and over and over again, at least 10,000 times. I didn't move a muscle, Joy, from 8 p.m. that night when I was thrown into the bed till 8 a.m. in the morning. I just stayed there and repeated that over and over again. 8 a.m. comes around. My mom pops into the room and is like, Hasani, like, you're usually up eating your cereal. What's going on? I hear her voice. You hear your mother's voice. You feel like you're saved. I pop up. And my first thought was, where were you? That was my first thought. Like, my mom wasn't there. But my next thought was, wait a minute. I didn't die. He didn't get me. Like, I survived. I turned around and it was my pillow. And I immediately popped down off my bed, went into the kitchen, poured me some kicks, and went back in the living room, watched TV, and Incredible Hulk was on, and I was just fine. I can't tell you how many times in my life, no matter what I go through, I find a way on the backside of it to turn it into something that empowers me. And I tell people all the time, if you don't learn that skill, no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing, you will practice, drill, and rehearse your own drama enough times that that story will become your trauma. And that is what locks you in, keeps you stuck, or pulls you into that downward spiral where you stay in the pit far longer than you have to. And I think that's the distinguishing mark that I've relied on to help me to navigate through some very tough and difficult situations.
Yeah. And that's some very, very powerful stuff, because you define your own destiny. You have to get out of it by yourself. So you obviously had coaches and mentors that helped you through that in life.
Say that, repeat that one more time.
You had coaches and mentors that helped you to build yourself up like that through life. Was that a point for you where it actually felt like you, I can say, survived the things that happened in your life?
Yeah, I've always walked through life feeling like life was happening for me, then life was happening to me. And I think when you have that sense that life is happening for you, you gravitate toward the things that are going to allow you to create an empowering story to govern your life. If you feel like a victim, or that things are being thrown at you unfairly, or that you are subject to whatever it is that's going on around you, however unfair it may be, you've automatically disconnected yourself from your potential power. That isn't to say that what you're going through is your fault. It isn't to say that what you're going through, or have gone through, or even will go through, is on you. I think that's insensitive and it lacks empathy. I think the part that should empower us and we feel like no matter what's outside of us, that we have a chance, a fighting chance, is that we can interpret the signals of what's happening to us and transform it into something that empowers our next step. And I tell people, you think about some dusty old rock, a piece of coal. Well, it's only until it's under immense pressure that it becomes a diamond. And if you see that pressure as something that you will need to run from or to be scared of or fearful for, you will never find the diamonds, the true potentiality that you have as an individual. You need literally that level of pressure to become your best version of yourself. I don't ask to get punched in the face. No one does. But invariably, we all will get punched in the face. So if we have to, and we will, why not learn from it? Why not grow from it? Why not become stronger because of it?
Yes.
Because those are the very stepping stones that take us to where we want to go.
Correct. This is so awesome. I'm so grateful for you, X, that you're on here and sharing this inspiration, because that's what this podcast is about, to inspiring people around the globe as much as possible, to start businesses and to change their lives and to understand that habits and all the core things in life that people don't actually think of, core things like just success habits makes, it's just such a good growth point. I want to dive a little bit into success habits. So obviously you have a lot of that going on in your life. I mean, success habits there's so many of them. Can you share with us a few success habits that you practice on a daily basis?
Yes, Joy, I truly believe that the fireworks of all of these immense skills and talent that we look outside of ourselves and see in other people, and we are like, whoa, they're this and I'm not that. The story we're telling ourselves is misconceived. What you're seeing as an example of success or whatever is really a function of them having two key things that you may not be dialed into. And I call them the two R's. One are routines and the other is rituals. So routines are the things that you do on a day-by-day basis. They are the habits, if you will. You do them routinely like clockwork. I get up at a certain time, I eat certain things, exercise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The routines that keep you oriented in your true north or marching forward in a way that's conducive to your success. Routines, and I think the part that people miss is that a routine should be easy, simple, and repeatable. You don't have to try really hard to step over it. So if you're trying to lose weight, it's not about going out and running 20 miles and killing yourself. It's about the routine of walking for 10 minutes a day. I've helped people lose 100 pounds plus, and the only shift was getting them into the routine habit of doing something simple. I call it your low bar minimum. What is the smallest thing that you can do routinely and build upon the principle of consistency and compound interest over time? That is what a solid routine is. You don't have to think about it. It's easy to do. No heroics, no fireworks, right? But why is doing that so hard if I say it's so simple? The reason is because there isn't a lot of emotion generated from doing something simple and easy. And because there's not any emotional connection to this simple thing like walking for 10 minutes, you'll feel like you didn't go anywhere. You'll feel like you haven't done anything. That's where rituals come in. Rituals are a highly emotionalized activity geared at helping you to stay emotionally driven around a thing. So you're purposely bringing emotion into the equation. I'll give you an example. In my marriage, and I've been married for 20 years now,
congratulations.
we routinely say hi and bye, right? And we routinely give each other a kiss when we exit, right? Those are the routine, simple, don't require much effort, right? But that can become stale over time. So how do you turn it into a ritual? I purposefully, from time to time, make it an emotional act. Hey, babe, come here. I'm leaving. Come here. Look into her eyes, give her a long kiss, slap her on her ass, and just make a thing of it. Make a thing of it on purpose. Emotionalize it. Like really, like if you remember the first time I kissed you, you need to kiss me. You need to kiss me like that. Don't give me that little tired peck. Like, and she laughs, like ritualize it, bring emotion to it on purpose. Now you're working at two extremes. The consistent, easy, everyday thing that you need to do like clockwork and build upon with consistency for that compound interest effect. And you're also emotionalizing it with purposeful rituals that keep you emotionally satisfied and feeling like you've done something of meaning and purpose. It's these two things that marry each other in the life of a successful person that allows them to always stay ahead of the game.
Gosh, that's powerful. That's really powerful. What is your morning routine? Or what's your daily routine, really?
Daily routine. I try to beat the sun up every day. So, right now during the summer months, the sun rises here about 5 in the morning. So 5:10 in the morning. So I'm up at 4:30. But in the winter, it doesn't rise till 8. So I say beat the sun up. And when I beat the sun up, first thing I do is go into my meditation and kind of being gratitude and thinking about all the things I want. Then I plan my day and look at my schedule. I try to pack my day full of things that have some meaning and purpose to me and my goals. And then from there, I go exercise. I tell people, like, if you want to set up a morning routine and rituals that suit you, think of the MEPS map, MEPS. How can you stimulate yourself mentally? So you're thinking in the right context as it relates to who you are and what you want to be. How do you emotionally edify yourself to feel some type of emotional connection to who you are and who you would like to be? How do you physically push yourself? Because your body, I think exercise is one of those things that if I didn't do, I don't know how I would be here talking to you. Like I am a mess if I haven't been routinely exercising. So how can I physically do something? And then the S is spiritually. So how do I put together a routine and ritual program where I'm dealing with that MEPS map, MEPS, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual deposits into myself, to me, before I turn my attention to anybody or anything else. So that's the morning routine by and large.
That's really cool. I like that. And it's so important to put the exercise as part of your routine because, like you said, it actually sets you up for the day, right? It really does.
Yeah, it does. And I want to encourage you too, if you're not in the habit of it, it's hard to start that new habit. So pick something small. Yeah. You'll be surprised if you walk, and I'm going to walking because quite literally it can transform your life, this small thing. You walk for 15 minutes, you burn 150, 200 calories. And that's like nothing. That's like a Snickers bar or one little thing. But 200 calories times 30 days is 6,000 calories, which is almost 2 pounds. 2 pounds a month over the course of a year is 24 pounds. 24 pounds over the course of 3 years is almost 75 pounds. It's compound effect. It feels like, I don't want to do it because I'm not seeing the outcome. So you have to play that routine ritual side as well. Yeah. But I think we measure ourselves in ways that aren't conducive to us having an empowering meaning. It's kind of like, those old stories where the kid is growing up in the house and they show the parents measure, they put a notch on the door and they're like, hey, Jimmy, look, this is how tall you are. And he looks at the notch and he goes, oh, wow. And then they flash forward 4 years, 5 years, and then Jimmy's looking at the notches up the thing. Well, that's not how we measure ourselves. Yeah. Right. We're not measuring ourselves over time. We go measure ourselves and say, okay, this is where I am. I'm fat, sloppy, and I'm not worth anything. Then we go do something. We come back the next day, put another notch on the door and be like, I didn't grow. Yeah, you can't see it. You can't see a plant grow every day. Yeah. It happens over time. So routines that you stay with, and then rituals that help you emotionally feel satisfied. So for example, if you're walking alone, how can you ritualize it? By walking with a friend and bring emotion to it, right? Like know what emotionally stimulates you and bring that into your routines and you'll stick with them. Yeah. And it's so true what you're saying with the walking. I live in a small town called Oxford in New Zealand. It's a rural town. It's only like about 2,000 people living here. It's actually grown since we've been here. And when we moved here, there was a guy that
like walked with his dog every single day, and he was so overweight, like so overweight. And now I see him, and he's literally like more than half the size less than he used to be. And because every time I left with my children, taking them to school, I would see him walking his dog, and he would walk far. He would go all around the farm fields and, all the way around. And it's so true, just like something like walking every day. And he did far. He probably did like a good hour of walking every day. Maybe he skipped a few days here and there, but I saw him almost every day just walking. And it's so powerful, something so small. And I agree with you, because now he walked his dog. So he didn't do it by himself. He put that emotion into it. So
yeah. And I would encourage you, no matter where you are, no matter how dark it seems, you know the old saying, there is no amount of darkness that can squelch the smallest of lights. The only thing you need to be able to see and connect to is the next step. So many of us want the light to shine so bright that it illuminates the full path. Yes, we want that, but it's just not likely. And needing that, wanting that, and being paralyzed by not having that full path being illuminated keeps us stuck. You only need enough light to be able to take your next step. Because guess what? When you take that next step, that little bitty light will what? Shine for that next step. And it's this neat step in front of each other that allows you not only go forward, but it also empowers that light to shine even more brightly. It's kind of an oxymoron. Those who can see furthest in the dark are those who took the steps without being able to see, because they have such a confidence that the step they take, whatever's on the other side of that, I can deal with it. And you just got to practice that, take that step. Put in front of you. I tell people all the time, it's easy to come up with 1,000 excuses as to why to not do something. The brain, the mind is hardwired not for your success, but for your survival.
And for warning, so you're going to.
Nope, it's not you. Your brain is hardwired to reserve calories, keep you safe, keep you in your little bottle, boxed in. Don't do anything that stretches us or causes us pain. Stay safe. Your mind is not you. It's made that way. But the problem with that is if you listen, you'll believe that. So all those 1,000 stories as to why not to do something, the only thing you need to do is to find the one reason to do it. You don't need 1,000. You just need one. And believe that one reason, even if it ain't true. I don't care. I got Dumbo's feather and I'm jumping. And I'll figure out that it wasn't the feather once I'm flying.
I love that. That's awesome. Now, you obviously, when you approached me to be on the podcast, I just absolutely love the fact that you tell stories. Storytelling is so powerful. Can you give us tips on how to tell a really good story?
Yeah. First, let's go back to the idea that we're hardwired for stories as well.
Yes,
at the crux of everything that makes us who we are, it's a belief in a story, a narrative. We believe we are a certain way, and therefore that informs how we feel, what we do, and how we communicate. And that's why stories are so powerful, because when someone shares a story with you, what they're basically sharing with you is the blueprint to success, how to avoid and sidestep danger and problems. It's like, hey, over there was this lion, and by the way, you don't want to go over there. We ran, we threw a spear at it, we figured out how to survive. Really, the mind goes, that I need to know, that I need to keep check that on my box of things not to do. So that gives us a clue as how to tell a great story. A great story is going to involve overcoming, transformation, getting out of dangerous situations, painful situations. I would challenge you in thinking about all the stories that you love, from novels, movies, even the stories you share with your girlfriends or your good friends. There's always a hint of drama. Somebody was about to lose something. There was some pain, there was some trauma, there was an issue. And by the way, somebody figured out a way out of it, and I got to share with you how they did it. So when you think about telling a story, think about these 4 Ps. What is the problem and pain that the hero is going through? Whether it's you or your audience, what is the problem and pain that they have to go through? The second is the paradigm. Paradigm meaning the way of thinking that kept that person trapped. If you go back to my story, what kept me trapped in being the smaller version of myself was my fear of leading and not feeling worthy. I believed I wasn't worthy of leading. That was my trap. That was my jail cell. And as a storyteller, you need to give your audience and paint a picture of what that jail cell is that's keeping that person or thing trapped. So that's the paradigm. And then you break open that paradigm by giving that person some power. What did you do to escape it? How did you get out of it? What special sauce did you bring to the table to figure out a way out of this jail cell? That's the power. And last but not least, 99 times out of 100, the story needs to end on a happy note, so there's pleasure. What did the hero get? Who did they become? Right? You have intrinsic and extrinsic pleasurable things that the hero receives. And I challenge you to look at any story you love, you'll find those 4 Ps. Problems and pain, a paradigm, a way of thinking that kept the hero stuck. They found out some new information or a new way of doing something that gave them power so they could do different. And then there was a pleasurable ending. Those are the 4 Ps of story when we're helping people to cultivate their story, whether it's for business or leadership or communicating with themselves. We always go through those 4 Ps.
That is really awesome. And is there some deeper techniques in that? Like, do you bring in color and smells and things like that? Is there like emotion? Obviously, there's a lot of emotion in stories, right? So is there a deeper impact on telling stories if you dive in with like certain other aspects?
Yes, we are a sensory creature, and anything that can help embolden our connection to the narrative, we want to use. So if for example, let's talk about tonality. If I told you a story in a very monotone voice and didn't change my emotional inflection, no matter what I say, right? So all of these small things in how we communicate impact how the story is received. So if you can add music, if you can add color, if you can, so in my company, Lead Your Story, we look at all of these narrative cues. So when we're helping companies to develop videos that tell their story well, we want to make sure the design and the set is it imbues the ethic and ethos of the story. I can't have you be a clean-cut corporate person talking about this, but we have a grungy graffiti background. The energies don't mix. The signals tell us that something isn't right. Somebody's lying. Somebody's not telling the truth. So that's what we mean by being congruent with your story elements. Your emotion should be there. The colors, the congruence of you as a storyteller and believing it. I can't tell you, well, we write scripts for some leaders and they get on set and they start recording it and it's not them. They didn't take the time to take our advice around what the story was to make it theirs. They take my word, how X would say it, as the gospel. And I say, hey, no, these are the elements of your story. Now it's for you to figure out how to bring these together in your own way. But you got to have confidence that your own way is the way. And a lot of people don't, they come up with an expert like me and they say, like, how he said it, how we did it is the truth. No, I'm just giving you a blueprint and a guide. Now you have the raw ingredients to make your own story. So yes, all of it matters. But the biggest thing that matters is that you believe it. Because
if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to believe it, right?
Yeah. If you don't believe it, it comes through. We have these things that happen outside of the context of language, where you say 80% of communication is nonverbal. So we can tell when someone isn't authentic and true and connected. We feel it. We can't put our finger on it, but something just isn't right. So one of the core foundations about being a great storyteller is that you believe that it is fully and wholly true for you. That is foundation, ground floor. Now we can start building on top of that and kind of stripping away certain things and carving certain things to make it more palatable to your audience. But ground floor, you got to believe.
No, definitely. I completely agree with you on that one. So on your bio, you're also an expert in meditation. You've done 10,000 hours of meditation. That is so much. Well done. Congratulations on that, because I do like 10 minutes a day. So probably take like 100 years to get to 10,000 hours. But how do you do it, Hasani? How did you actually decide that this is the point you're going to meditate? And I mean, crikey, 10,000 plus hours, that's a lot. How did you get to that?
Yeah. I've been meditating since I was 18. So that's 25 years of meditating.
That's impressive.
But there was a period of about 10 years where I was doing 3-4 hours a day. And during the winter solstice period, I would lock myself away on a retreat where I would do a fast for like 10, 15 days on just water. Wow. And I would meditate 12 hours a day. Like I went into these very extreme meditative rituals to really help me to understand who I was and what I was about. And the $1 million question is, well, should I do that? That's what clients often ask me. I was like, no, I do not recommend it. It was for me to feel congruent with me telling you how to do it, which in your 10 minutes a day, Joy, is perfectly suitable and fine. So the goal isn't 10,000 hours. The goal is to connect with yourself in such a way that you can truly understand who you are, what moves you, and the voice and truth around what this life is going to mean for you as it unfolds. I think for many, and this is just my belief, a lot of people think of meditation as a way of emptying. I don't believe in that as a way, or even feel like it's worth the time and effort. Yes. If you meditate and sit down for 10 minutes a day and all you're trying to do is empty yourself, you will get all the benefits of reducing stress, putting up a parasympathetic response that heals the body, reducing anxiety. You have a whole host of beneficial things. But when you add meditation on to top of what I call perfected persona meditation, where instead of trying to quiet the mind, you instead give it a story to practice, drill, and rehearse. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in the habit of eating bad food, right? And you want to lose weight and you can't stop. Well, I would advise you to meditate on eating good food. Forget the whole clearing of the mind. Practice, drill, rehearse yourself eating good food. Practice, drill, rehearse positive emotions like, oh, this is so good. See yourself opening your fridge and being excited to eat a salad. Do that 1,000 times in 10 minutes. You can practice, drill, rehearse a scenario through meditation over and over and over again, just like that. You can't do it in real life, just like that. But here's the thing about the mind. It can't determine what the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So what you're doing is you're giving yourself reps of practicing, drilling, and rehearsing a correct behavior with the emotions associated with it. And as you see yourself doing that, you're also future pacing the emotional connection to you losing weight, seeing yourself happy and joyful and looking a certain way. If you do meditation that way, you not only get the positive effects of the parasympathetic response, the healing, the lower stress and anxiety, but you're also programming your mind to think a certain way.
That's powerful.
And I think that's the biggest disconnect that people think about meditation. I even heard monks say, there is no way to shut down the brain. They've meditated 30,000 hours. There is no way. The key is being able to detach from that constant, incessant cycling of stuff being pulled into your awareness, or being able to gravitate toward things that are more conducive to who you want to be or what you want to believe. So 10 minutes is sufficient, perfectly fine. I say you can get tons of benefit from not only meditating and quieting and sitting down and taking some time for yourself, but to use what I call perfected persona meditation, where you're practicing being your perfect self.
That's really good. I really like that. Tony Robbins does a thing. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called priming, where he does the same similar thing. Like you meditate and then you go through this whole imagining, things in your life. And it's really powerful when you do that. Definitely. I completely agree with you. What do you contribute to your success?
The basics, they almost sound trite at this point. You hear the same things over and over and over. Like, who's going to say something new? But basics win the game. The fundamentals. But I'll go back to what we talked about earlier. One of the things I think that has allowed me to go through some pretty harrowing situations is just being able to reframe what has happened to me in an empowering light. I'll share another story. When I was 8 or 9,
Mm-hmm.
we were visiting my auntie in San Diego, California, Southern California, and she had a pool. We thought she was rich, and we didn't know how to swim. So we would stay on the non-deep end, 3 feet of water, and we wouldn't go to the deep end. We knew we would drown. But I was on the side of the pool playing with my Hot Wheel cars. I love this Hot Wheel. I was playing with it, and I threw it between my legs, and it rolled into the deep end in the pool. And my dad came running up behind me. He said, "Go get it." I was like, "What? Go get it?" It's like, "Go get it." And before I knew it, my dad picked me up and threw me into the deep water.
Oof.
And I panicked, of course. I was taking in water, struggling, hollering and screaming, trying to find a way to get to the edge of the pool. And I got there. Apparently, I'm here talking to you, but I got there. And I was screaming and hollering. My dad said, "Come here." And my dad scared the heck out of me. He was worse than the Incredible Hulk, in my opinion. And so I went back to him. He picked me up and threw me in again. He had to do that over and over and over a good 8 times before my mom finally said, "Leave that boy alone." So I'm on the side of the house, Joy, crying my eyes out, potentially being traumatized. But again, something in me said, "Wait a minute, I didn't die. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, wait a minute. I can jump into the deep end and figure it out." 10 minutes later, I was the only little kid who couldn't swim playing in the deep end. If you can find an empowering meaning to what is going on in your life, it will create this force field around you. My dad, he summarized it to me a couple of years ago. He just recently passed, and this is one of the last conversations we had before Alzheimer's and all this other stuff started kicking in. He was like, "Hasani, you find a way to go through the fire without getting burned." And I agree, but I'll add one point of clarification. I get burned just like everybody else. But afterwards, I can heal a whole lot faster because I don't regret what I went through. I find the empowering meaning, a new story, a new narrative to cleave to. And that just edifies me and allows me to keep on stepping stronger than what I was before. And if I could encourage the audience to think about anything else, it would be whatever story you're telling yourself, that is the story that is keeping you locked in. The practice, drilling, and rehearsing of that drama is the trauma that keeps you stuck. Practice, drill, and rehearse a new story, and you'll move past wherever you are right now.
That's really awesome. So is that one of your methods to basically get through the struggles in life?
Yeah, maybe I'm just weak. I tell people, don't think I'm strong. Maybe I'm just weak. I can't deal with all that pain. I'm going to be like, "Yo, hey, all right, that happened, and that means this." No, it doesn't. To me, it does. Yeah. It means this. It means I am better, or I'm this. And some asshole would say, "No, it doesn't. How did you make that conclusion?" Because I did. One of the things I tell people, it doesn't have to be true. You just have to believe it. Yeah. And that's the key, because remember what I said, you only need to light the path for the next step. I don't got to light the whole path. I don't have to have it all figured out. Just to have enough light in front of me to feel like I can take the next step in confidence. Yeah. And that's been my coping mechanism, from dealing with going through death in my family and having a father who was a little, rough around the edges, to losing people that I love in my life. My high school started with 500 freshmen. Just to give you context, only 38 of us are still graduated. Wow. Like when you think about crazy stuff that you see on the movies, that was my life growing up, an everyday occurrence. And the only way I was able to survive it and to actually thrive through it had nothing to do with being more talented than anybody else. It had nothing to do with working harder than anyone else. It had everything to do with finding an empowering meaning to the stories and narrative that guided me, which kept me moving forward and moving forward just a little bit each day. Yeah. That compound interest we talked about, that consistency is what's going to allow you to separate yourself and to live your very best life.
That is really, really powerful. I just want to go back to the storytelling for a little bit here, because also one of the questions that you recommended on your bio to ask. And I was actually like, this is actually a really, really good question, because I have a coaching program where I teach basically small business owners how to generate leads and sales. And obviously one of the big parts of that is teaching them how to tell stories. Now, I'm not a professional storytelling person, but obviously there's scripts and things like that. So I do love the whole idea behind telling stories. Now, obviously storytelling can really impact your business, and it can grow your business, because you're getting yourself out there in different ways. And I'm big for not just posting a thing on Instagram. I actually always tell a story about the picture that I post about. What is your idea behind basically telling a story to grow your business?
That is a great question. And if you're listening and you are a business owner and you're not telling stories, you are leaving so much money, income, but also impact on the table. I remember closing my first six-figure deal, and it had nothing to do with being the best service provider. It had to do with telling a story. So I was trying to close a deal. And I don't know if you've been there, Joy, where you got to close. This isn't one of those like, it will be nice to close. Like, I have to close this deal because I don't know how we're going to eat and pay to like, I had to. So everything is smooth, right? Everything is going good until you get to the point where they're signing and giving you payment information. And it's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what's happening? The deal is falling apart. I'm like, oh no. And instinctively, I was like, listen, when my brother died, I became a professional fighter because I had to face my own fears. And let me tell you about my first fight. It was back in 2004. It was still illegal in 48 states. We fought on Native American land because it was illegal everywhere.
Wow.
And I go into the arena. I couldn't sleep for 3 weeks leading up to the fight. I was nervous. I was scared. The announcer was like, are you ready for a no holds barred fighting contest? People throwing beer cans and popcorn, and the sound is blaring. And my heart is beating 1,000 beats a minute. And I get up to the cage and they open it and I look on the mat and there's blood all over it. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? The cage door closes behind me. The person I'm fighting is crazy. He's pacing the ring, running back and forth, talking about, I'm going to kill you.
Oh my word.
Joy, I was shitting bricks. And you got to be a tough guy though. So I was like, no, I'm going to kill you. But inside, I was like, I wish I could do I Dream of Jeannie, blink and be anywhere but there. But then the bell rings and your training, your instinct, it takes over and we're going at it. And, I'm in it. I'm doing pretty good until I'm in my corner. I'm exhausted, more exhausted than I've ever been in my life. I feel like I'm about to quit. I feel like I'm about to get knocked out soon. I'm about to tap. And I hear this voice that says, remember what you're fighting for. That was my coach. He doesn't even remember saying it, but I remember it distinctly because I thought about my wife. I thought about, my kids. I thought about all the things that are important to me, all the things that I have been through. And I was able to find something that I didn't know I had. Fast forward, I was able to knock him out later in that round. And I said, it doesn't sound like you know what you're fighting for. What are you fighting for? 5 minutes later, she signed.
That's awesome.
It had nothing to do with the service. We already had distinguished that I have some value that I offer, but it was really about connecting on values and stories. Stories help us to connect on values. Value is commodity. Values is brand. And if you can share that and build a bridge between who you are and why you do what you do, and get someone to feel, that is going to help you to close a lot more in your small business and be more impactful in the lives of your clients. Yeah,
that is very powerful. You're so good at storytelling. Obviously, this is what you do, but it's like so fun to listen to you. So this podcast is also, like I said before, to inspire people. Now with COVID, my podcast pivoted with COVID when the whole world locked down. What was that, 2019, right? Or 2020, 2019. Anyway, so a lot of people are stuck in either starting a business or they're sitting on the fence and like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Or they have maybe started and they failed. What advice would you have for somebody that is in that position?
If you're looking to start, there is no secret sauce other than to start.
Yeah.
Right. Decide on where you think you can provide value.
Yeah.
Reach out directly to those who you think you can provide value to, and ask them, will they entertain possibly exchanging with you? It may not be currency at first. It may be a case study. It may be bartering. It doesn't really matter. What's most important when you're starting is to get proof of concept. So many of us are paralyzed by the idea of this big behemoth thing that we need to build. And so we never build it. We never lay the first brick. So let's simplify it. Your first brick is to determine what value you can exchange, and then who you can exchange it with, and reach out directly to them and get into a conversation and ask, would they buy this? Do they value this? Would they like it? You need to have proof of concept early. So many of us spend time building something that the market doesn't want.
Correct.
And we're scared to hear no. We're scared to see it fail. So we protect this baby, and we invest hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars, a lot of emotion into something that we haven't even talked to anyone about or haven't sold. I say, if you're starting, sell it before you build it. And a lot of people go, well, how do you do that? Have an idea, go, hey, Joy, I'm building this thing. It's going to do this, this, and this. Do you think you will want it? Yeah. How much is it? It's going to be $49, but I'm taking pre-sales right now for $29. Would you like to buy it? If you can't sell it imperfectly, I promise you, you won't be able to sell it perfectly. So all the stuff we think we need, logos, websites, e-commerce carts, all this other stuff, if you can't sell it imperfectly, I promise you, having worked with thousands of businesses, literally thousands, if you can't sell it imperfectly, you will not be able to sell it perfectly. So start where you are. That's for those who are looking to start. If you're in it and you're stuck, or you feel like you're failing, there are 4 F's I want you to focus on. Reach out to your client base and ask them, what makes your product or service special? Why do they like it? Why do they buy from you? Shut up and listen, and then jot down what they say. This is going to be one column of all the facts and functions that stand out as relates to your product. They're going to be functional things, most likely. Have a list of those things. You need to be able to communicate how your product is different from a functional perspective, meaning utility in the marketplace. So write that list down. That's the first F. The second F is feeling. Functions is about value, utility. Joy likes this, so she buys it. So it's just a commodity, because if someone else provides the same thing, she will then decide who has the best product and who has the best price. Commodity. So the second F is about brand, and that F is feeling. How can you connect a feeling to this function? What story can you tell to make this thing even more special? And I'll give you an example of someone I'm working with right now. She sells candles, and she did the first F. It was about the wicks being slow to burn. It was about the smell. It was about her packaging. It was about how her jars can be reused for other stuff. She had 20 things. I said, you're going to create content on these 20 things later, but that's your list of function. How about feeling? And she was confused. Well, what do you mean feeling? Well, why should someone buy that? How can you create an emotional connection? So we started to ask the question, well, who did she primarily sell to? Well, African-American women. Why do you create these candles? Well, they help me to relax in certain conditions. Some are for relaxing, some are for anxiety, some are for stress. All right, here's what I want you to do. Tell stories around why you made this certain scent for a time and experience in your life, and what the average African-American woman, your client, is going through. And now with each candle sale, there is a story attached to that candle. So now she has something that's beyond product. She's now branding a feeling and emotion, and building a community and tribe around this commodity. That's the second F. The third F is finances, meaning think about how you can reimagine and repackage your offer. With the candle lady, instead of selling one candle at a time, we've created a monthly subscription where you get a candle, you get a story, and you get a playlist of music that goes along with it. All things that cost her nothing, but add immense value to her tribe. So financially repackage your offering. And then here's the last F, where the rubber meets the road and where most people quit and stop. You need fierce follow-up. you can 3x, 5x your business if you do what I'm about to tell you right now. Make a list on a piece of paper or on a Google sheet, 3 columns. Yes, maybe, and no. Everybody who has ever said yes to you in your business goes in the yes column. Everybody who has said maybe, they loved it, but they didn't end up buying, is in the maybe column. And everybody who said no, I'm not buying it, I don't want it, is in the no column. Reach out to those people, telling them this new story with this new offer, and get them to buy. You do that, you will 3x, 4x, even maybe even 10x your business.
Yeah, that's very true.
But most people won't do it because they were scared of hearing rejection.
Yeah.
But if you do it, right, that last F, I promise you, with those 3 Fs prior, because you know better how to communicate your value, I promise you your business will improve overnight.
It's the power of follow-up. It's so true. Out of the sales point of view, it's incredibly powerful. Definitely.
Yeah.
So what is the type of programs that you offer for people? Can you tell people how they can reach you and what you can do for them to help them in their businesses potentially?
Yeah. Here's what I encourage you to do. Get onto my newsletter, because we're about to launch a whole host of services that are oriented towards smaller entrepreneurs and startups. Most of the stuff that I do with my company, Lead Your Story, they're bigger businesses who have 50, 500, even 1,000 employees. And we do a lot of brand work and storytelling internally for building culture for larger teams, and then for brand work. But we're about to release a whole bunch of courses and small group mastermind stuff that is oriented towards the entrepreneur. Like that 4 Fs I talked about, we have a course for that. We have a course called Launch My Story, where we go through the 4 Rs that we use to double our business during the pandemic. How to reimagine your product or service, how to rebrand it, how to repackage and relaunch in 72 hours. So we're all of this stuff is launching in September. So I encourage you to connect with me on social media, or to text me at 800-425-2095. That's 800-425-2095. And you'll be added into my list, our X Factor community. Just yesterday, we did a private training for our community on those 4 Rs and working through how to think about that in your business, stuff that we don't release to the public. And you'll be the first in line once those programs drop. Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. We'll definitely pop the link below as well, so you guys can see that. And also the number, we'll make sure that it goes across the screen so they can see that as well. Any other valuable information that you can add to the audience?
Yeah, man. I tell people, lead your story, or your story will lead you.
That's nice. Yeah.
If you get out front and say, I'm going to lead my next chapter, what has happened is what is in the books. But from this point forward, you can lead your story, because there is a story that's governing who you are, what you do, how you feel, how you show up. And you either let that story be written for you in a very reactionary way, where life happens to you, or you can step up and lead it. They both take the same amount of energy. It's that the former of leading your story gets you to where you want to go.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you've got this mission, like on your bio, it says you're on a mission to impact 100 million lives. Now that is an incredible big goal, but I think being on podcast is a great way to do exactly that, because you touch so many lives all at once with just being on one episode. Would you be open to be on other people's podcasts as well?
Oh, yes. When we get off the air, I got 2 questions I'm going to stay on and ask Joy. First is if you were me, who would you be talking to and what would you be doing? I feel like everyone is my master in some way. So that's first. And then the second question is, who should I be reaching out to share this message with, whether it's a podcast, a blogger, an influencer? And just those 2 questions alone have helped me in the last couple of months. I've been on 12 different podcasts over the last this month in July. Well, it's August now.
But still.
We recorded 12 different podcasts, and half of those are from being referred by people like you who said, hey, you got to have X on. I'm like, thank you. But if I didn't ask, I don't know if I would have gotten it.
Because definitely you've got such a powerful story to share. Well, many powerful stories to share, and that 100 million lives, that is incredible. I love that goal. That's amazing. X, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so very much. If you guys watch this on YouTube, please do subscribe and share share this episode and hit that bell button for more videos like this. Thank you so much, X, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Cheers.